It's been over a year and a half since I covered the first Dragon Quest. I'd say it's time to try out Dragon Quest II Luminaries of the Legendary Line. Like the first game, this is the updated mobile version ported to the Switch. Also like the first game, I'm playing it for the first time. After Phantasy Star 2 and especially Final Fantasy IV, it's nice to go back to an RPG where 100% is a little easier. I'll be maxing out all 3 party members' levels and obtain every treasure in the game. That's all I need to do. On starting a new game, I have to name one of our 3 main characters. First the hero, who's had a few names given in adaptations, but it seems Alan is the closest of them to being considered canon. The other 2 will come later. Starting the game gets a quick recap of the first game, describing its hero saving the world from the Dragon Lord. After that he left with Princess Gwaelin and they founded multiple new kingdoms around the world, all of them ruled by their many descendants. But it's now 100 years later. We start by seeing the castle of the Kingdom of Moonbrook, which is south of the Kingdom Meadenhall where our hero is from. The king and princess are just chilling when the castle suddenly starts to shake. A guard reports that minions of someone called Hargon have surrounded the castle. He tells the guard to gather the others, but a monster enters and kills that guard before he can get anywhere. The king takes the princess towards the cellar and tells her to flee, while he sends word of the attack to Meadenhall. He doesn't get to leave his inner sanctum though before being cut off by a monster. He manages to kill it, but while taking on the next 2, he himself is set on fire. As is the rest of the castle, as the rest of the guards are quickly killed. In the end, only one soldier is able to escape. He limps away while the entire castle goes up in flames. He manages to reach Meadenhall and collapses at the entrance, getting the guards to take him to the king. He tells the king of what happened to Moonbrook and we learn a little about Hargon. He's a dark priest trying to summon a powerful god to destroy the world for him. But after telling all he knows, he dies. The king decides this isn't his job and sends his son, Alan, to do it for him. Since he's a descendant of Erdrick, his birthright has to be tested. Not the king's though. Maybe the never mentioned queen was part of Erdrick's bloodline and the king just married into it, so he gets let off. The king tells me to follow him and I gain control. I go down the stairs and the king tells me to open the chest next to me. He also says I have to journey to Cannock and Moonbrook to find other descendants of Erdrick to help me. Cannock's prince and Moonbrook's princess. I now have to name those. These 2 have since been given canon names. Princeton for the Prince of Cannock. However, I only have 8 characters, so I had to spell it without the O. The Princess of Moonbrook has since been named Princessa. I had to drop one of the S's for the same character limit. The chest contains a copper sword and 50 gold. Also, I know everyone talks all old fashioned, but calling your child fruit of my loins to their face is just fucking weird. One man inside the castle tells me that west of Meadenhall is a town Leftwyne. There's some chests in the southeast corner, but a locked door is in my way. There's a teleportal in here that will warp me somewhere else in the world. I don't think I ever need to use this. As usual, priests are used for resurrecting and curing curses, and there's one in the northwest corner. Outside the exit is an inn and a shop. I just buy a healing item just in case before I leave onto the world map. Like the first game, I'm not going anywhere without gaining some levels first. As you'd expect, my first enemy is the classic Slime. This hero only has access to the attack, defend and item commands. The spells were taken away and split between the other 2 party members. After 5 or 6 fights against 1 to 3 slimes, Alan reaches level 2. A few minutes later I get a new enemy to the series, the Morlusk. The only thing notable about it is that it takes 2 hits to kill instead of 1 right now. Killing it also gets Alan to level 3. With the money I've gained, I buy myself a 90 gold leather shield to increase Alan's defense by 4. Like in the first game, talking to the king lets me see how much XP is needed to level up and also save. After saving, I start heading west from Meadenhall. I pass a desert and on the way face my first Iron Ant, but these also die in a single hit. I continue around these mountains to reach Leftwyne. This is meant as a halfway point between Meadenhall and Cannock, which an old man lets me know is to the north. The attack on Moonbrook is still not widely known here. Some have heard rumours while others have no idea what's even happened. Upstairs in the weapon shop, I rummage through some drawers to find a Tombola ticket. I'll get to this later. I can't afford any of the new equipment here, so I get heading north. On the way I fight my first Draki of the playthrough. It's the only fight I have before I reach Cannock Castle. An old man tells me a little about Princeton. He's talented with magic but has a weak body, which means he can't wear the heavier armour or wield heavier weapons. Inside the castle there's a prisoner who tells me about the silver key that opens most doors, along with a chest that is also locked behind the door. In the northeast corner we can talk to the princess who takes a chance to shit on Princeton. The king's in the northwest corner. He says that Princeton has already left on his own quest and should be at the Wellspring of the Hero, which is to the northeast. This king can also save the game for me. Fighting outside the castle gets me my first Rat Skull. The only thing notable about them is that right now they're quick enough to sometimes get the first attack in. The fight after that one gets Alan to level 4. Going west I cross another desert and as I see a cave I face the Heal Slime, also making their first appearance. As the name implies, they can heal themselves and other enemies. After that fight I enter the Wellspring of the Hero. Been a few episodes since I've had to use these. Like Final Fantasy IV and Phantasy Star 2, I'm going to be using maps to make my route through dungeons easier to explain. The reason the maps look a little different to what's on screen is that I couldn't find maps from this version, so I'm using maps of the Super Famicom version. I start by going north, and then east around a little pond, and then south into a small room to reach the first chest. I leave that room and go all the way east and south, west a huge distance, and then north to the second chest. From the pond I go north and east a little into a small basement. After that it's north, west, south and west to the third chest, then north a little to the wellspring. On my way to the first chest, Alan reaches level 5. The first chest contains a medicinal herb. On the way to the second I fight my first Cobra King. These can poison me, and it does with its first attack. But I already stocked up on some antidotal herbs beforehand, so it's fine. The second chest contains 82 gold. When I enter that basement, it just has a bed and a soldier inside it. All he does is ask if I've cleansed myself in the wellspring yet. He's happy if I say yes, and just telling me to do so if I say no, as it's tradition to do so. On the way to the third chest, the encounter rate gets a bit ridiculous, almost every step for a while. But this is an 80s JRPG, so I was expecting this to a degree. The third chest is just an antidotal herb to replace the one I used earlier. At the wellspring there's an old man who has Alan baptise himself in the waters and pray to Erdrick. He says I just barely missed Princeton, who said he was going to journey to Meadenhall to look for me. That's everything in this place, so I can leave. On the way out, Alan reaches level 6. Then nothing happens as I trek back to Meadenhall. I talk to the king, who says that I once again barely missed Princeton. He heard we went to meet him at Cannock and set off back, so I set off back myself. I stop by Left Wine and find Princeton resting at the inn. Having finally found me, he joins the party. This also marks the first appearance of the new party member jingle that's still used today. He starts at level 1, so I have to toughen him up a bit. He also starts with the heal spell. First, I return to Cannock to buy some better equipment with the money I built up since my last visit. I buy Alan a chain sickle for a 5-point attack increase over the copper sword. I also buy Princeton his own leather shield. He also gets Alan's old copper sword. My first fight after this gets Princeton to level 2, and about 3 or 4 fights later he reaches level 3 and learns the Sizz spell. A few more minutes and he's level 4. 2 fights later and Alan reaches level 7. I go slightly north of the wellspring of the hero to face some stronger enemies, including the first appearance of the Bubble Slime. 3 fights later and Princeton reaches level 5. Soon after I get the strongest enemy so far, the Magus, another enemy debuting in this game. It can still be killed in one turn though. 6 minutes later, Princeton reaches level 6 and learns the Squelch spell, which cures poison. I return to Cannock and buy Princeton his own chain sickle. That's enough grinding, so I head west from Cannock. Alan reaches level 8. Slightly southwest of Cannock is Gwaylin's Gate. The old man asks if I've spoken to his brother in the shrine south of Meadenhall, so I assume I'm not allowed through until I have. Instead I head northwest of Cannock, through some mountains and over a bridge into the Lake Cave. I start by going south into a little room for the first chest. I leave the room and go all the way west and then south all the way to the second chest. Then it's back north a little and west all the way again and south to reach some stairs to the bottom floor. The first chest has a Seed of Agility that permanently boosts that stat. Since these are limited and I have 3 party members, I have to think about who I want these to go to. I save this one for the final member of the party. On the way to the second chest, I get my first stronger palette variant of an existing enemy, the Fat Rat, next level up from the Rat Skull. I'm not aiming to kill every enemy since there's no bestiary, but I will point out any new ones just to give them that 2 seconds of attention. The second chest contains a Tombola ticket. Right after I get a second palette swap, the Somnoland. This could be scary as they manage to put both my party members to sleep, but they deal so little damage it's not a threat. A couple fights later, Princeton reaches level 7. For the second floor, I go south and turn east for the first chest, then south and west for the second, then south some more and even further west for the third and fourth. After that it's all the way east and then south to reach the final treasure of this cave. Despite just meeting the second Ant, I'm already facing the third in here, the Army Ant. The first chest has a Seed of Life which increases HP. Once again I choose to save this for the third member. The second chest has an antidotal herb. The third and fourth have 220 gold and a Chimera Wing, for auto-travelling back to any town and castle I've already visited. And at the end of this room is the Silver Key, allowing me to open many of the locked doors in the world. And that's this dungeon done. On the way out is an entirely new enemy type, the Centipede. I've always wondered how much fun the Dragon Quest localizers are having when they try and come up with these punny enemy names. Right before the exit, Alan reaches level 9. When I leave, I've lost a lot of health thanks to the encounter rate on the way out, so I use a Chimera Wing to warp straight to Cannock so I can heal. While there I sell both Alan and Princeton's leather armours to buy each of them a chainmail instead. Now for that shrine I was told about that's south of Meadenhall, but first I stop by Left Wine. I go through the locked door in the weapon shop to reach the Tombola. This begins the Dragon Quest series' love for gambling. I play a slot and the prize depends on what 3 of the same reels I land. I use every Tombola ticket I find in the game, but I never really win anything interesting, not that I need to anyway, so I won't be talking about it after this. Just know I used every ticket I ever got from chests or from enemy drops. I also stopped by Maidenhall, and to the west of the castle I can unlock a door to a nun and take a Tombola ticket from a drawers. I then get going south from the castle, crossing a bridge, and then when the land splits in two directions, I go southeast until I reach the shrine. The old man inside tells me that there are both gold and silver locks in the world, and the same for the keys that unlock them. He first tells me where the silver key is despite me already having it. He doesn't tell me where the gold key is. And that's it. That's what the other old guy sent me here to learn. I trek all the way back and talk to the two guards who tell me that to the south is Moonbrook before they let me through. There's a gold door I can't open and some stairs leading into a cave. There are two exits, one by going west and then south, and another by going south and then west. I take the latter route for the lower down exit. Absolutely nothing of note happens, and I exit back out onto the world map on the opposite side of the river. I just continue south. Here I face a stronger version of the Draki, the Drakmage, making its first showing in the series. These like to cast Kasap, lowering the party's defense. This law however don't stop casting Kasap even after our defense can't be lowered any further, making it easy to pick them all off. My next fight is against another series mainstay making its first appearance, the Corpse Corporal. Killing this one gets Princeton to level 8 and teaches him the Fizzle spell, which seals a group of enemies' magic for a single turn. I continue south and around a mountain until I reach a new town. This is Moonahan. In terms of interesting NPCs, there's a woman who once tended to Alan when he was a child, and a dog who insists on following the party around when I talk to her. There's also an old man in the north who can save the game for me. I really appreciate the game giving me more save locations than the first had. A soldier will also let me know that Moonbrook is just southwest of this town. That's about it. So I leave town, cross the bridge to the south and get heading west. After a certain point I move south to find Moonbrook Castle, surrounded in a poison swamp. Not going in yet. First I go east and face another new enemy, the Baboon. These are an actual threat as they can do over 10 points of damage and I'm facing 3 at once. My attempt to flee fails and my party is wiped. And so I restart at the last place I saved with half of my money lost. Plus I have to pay for Princeton's revival and the inn on top of that. I face my first Dragonfry just south of town. These are far more manageable and give a nice 32 XP each. I just barely win my next fight against 3 Baboons and see a very nice 117 XP. But that one fight required an inn visit. Instead I take a detour northeast of Moonahan, on the other side of the mountains I walked around to get here. I reach a bridge to cross and then get moving south. This is where I face another new enemy, the Smog. This one is a less recurring one, only showing up again in Dragon Quest XI, and despite having played that game, I still had to look it up because I don't remember them at all. A couple of fights later and Alan reaches level 10. As I can't go south any further and have to go west, I see a shining light in a poison swamp. This is my target. But it looks like I can't reach it from here and I simply misread the world map I was using. It seems I have to reach it heading east of Moonbrook. By the time I get back to Moonahan, I have enough money to buy Princeton and Iron Lance for 5 extra attack points. It could have gone to Alan, but I felt Princeton needed the damage boost more. And it's back to heading east of Moonbrook to very easily find that swamp. I don't consider that failed alternate route a waste of time since it got me a level and the money for that new weapon at least. Standing on the light and inspecting it gets me Ra's mirror. The purpose of the mirror is to reveal something's true form. The next fight after this gets Princeton to level 9. And it's back to Moonahan once again. Remember that dog that really wants to travel with us? I use Ra's mirror right next to it. The mirror shatters and undoes the curse on Princessa, returning her to her true form. As she tried to escape Moonbrook, Hargon's minions transformed her into a dog and banished her to Moonahan. And she joins the party too. Like Princeton, she also joins at level 1, but she starts with the much better mid-heal spell. Since she's starting off so far behind, I give her the seeds I've collected so far. It's not a huge boost, but she needs what she can get. She can't use any equipment I can buy from the weapon shop, and although I can afford it, I pass on buying Alan his own Iron Lance. Instead, from the normal item shop, I buy Princessa a Divine Dagger for 10 extra attack points over the Cypress stick she starts with. Now that the party is complete, we have a new, more upbeat theme playing on the world map. It's a minor thing, but I've always liked it when games change the world map theme after certain points. For some RPGs, it really hammers home how situations have changed, usually for the worse when a more hopeful sounding theme is swapped out for something more sinister sounding. Right now I just have to catch Princessa up a bit. After a couple of fights, Alan reaches level 11 and Princessa reaches level 2 and learns Snooze from the same fight. 2 or 3 fights later she then reaches level 3. It then takes about 3 or 4 minutes for her to reach level 4 and learn Whoosh, which is a generic damage spell for 17 to 34 damage. After this I fight just south of the bridge for that Baboon XP. 5 minutes later, Princeton reached level 10 and learns the very useful Zoom spell, basically a Chimera Wing in the form of a spell. The fight after that one sees Alan reach level 12, and the next fight after that gets Princessa to level 5. By this point I had the 1500 gold to buy Alan a steel broadsword for a 15-point attack increase over the chain sickle. I finally decide to check out Moonbrook Castle at this point. As you can guess, it's in a right state. I start by taking damage on about 5 damage tiles before I can even reach safe land. These moving flames are the tortured souls of those killed by Hargon's attack. You can still get in battles here too. The King's soul is near the throne, and only now do I get to see the hint about Princessa being transformed into a dog. Princessa tries to talk to him, but he can't hear or feel anymore. There are 2 chests in the northwest corner, but since the castle's been invaded, they're both empty. While here, Princeton reaches level 11. In this corner I can take a long path south through damaging poison to reach the inner sanctum. Then Alan reaches level 13 and Princessa reaches level 6 from the next fight. Princessa also learns Dazzle, which reduces enemy accuracy. Down the stairs is a dying guard who tells me exactly how to find Princessa if I hadn't already before he dies. Talking to his soul will then let it rest. I use Zoom to leave. There is one more treasure to get here, but it'll be a long time before I come back and get it. Back in Moonahan, I have the 1200 gold to buy Alan some full plate armour, a 16-point defence increase over the chainmail. Remember when I ran around the mountains earlier but turned back? Well, now I actually have to go this way. I cross the bridge when I reach it and then south across 3 more. To the west is my next dungeon, the Pillar of Winds. From the start I go all the way south and a little east to the only chest here. I then go north, east and north again to the stairs in the northeast corner. The chest contains a medicinal herb. My first visit to the second floor is simple. I just go west to the stairs to the 3rd floor. There's a soldier here who warns me about being able to walk off the edge of the tower and fall to the bottom. Nothing else happens. On the 3rd floor I just go south to the exit, taking a small detour east for a chest on the way. Up here is another rat variant, the Dirty Rat. Killing this lot gets Princeton to level 12. The chest contains 372 gold. As for the 4th floor, I just go east and take the first set of stairs I see. Nothing on the 5th floor, just west and north are some stairs back down to the 4th floor. My first fight on this floor gets Alan to level 14 and Princessa to level 7. Back down to floor 4, don't need to map, it's just a couple steps southwest, but I do get a new enemy while I'm here, the Spirit. And then floor 3 again is just another few steps northeast. This takes me to a small section of floor 2 containing the Windbreaker. This has a very specific use that I'll get into when it becomes relevant. Then it's all the way back to floor 4 to go east and up another set of stairs. Then it's directly north and up to floor 6. On this floor all I can do is move clockwise around this wall to the stairs up to floor 7. My first fight here is against the stronger centipede, the Killerpede. That's all. On floor 7 it's a couple steps east up to floor 8. The first fight on this floor gets Princeton to level 13. On this floor is the final chest of this place, containing a prayer ring. I then just drop myself off the edge of the 7th floor to land back outside. Zoom back to Moonahan, and for 2000 gold I buy Alan a steel shield for 6 more defence. A couple battles outside town gets Alan to level 15 and Princessa to level 8 in the same fight, teaching her the Holy Protection spell for preventing encounters against weaker enemies. My next destination is southwest of Moonbrook, cross a bridge and into a desert, and then a little more west to reach another gate crossing the river. Inside there's a priest, but I just take the stairs onto the western continent. From here I get heading northwest. I meet my first metal slime of the playthrough and of course it escapes. At the time of writing this, I'm not sure if I ever killed a single metal slime in this game. Eventually I cross a desert with a little oasis in the middle, and as I'm about to leave it I get another new enemy, the Tulip. That's how I actually say the original word anyway, thanks to my accent. I keep heading north, crossing some mountains and seeing Princeton reach level 14 and learn the evac spell. At the end I see 2 towers, one I can reach and the other on the other end of the river. These towers are the Dragon's Horns and I can only enter the southern tower. There's a man in here who explains that the towers were connected by a bridge, but it's long gone now. Not gonna map these as all rooms are very simple. Right next to the entrance are the stairs to the 2nd floor. The 2nd floor is just an anti-clockwise walk around a large pit to more stairs. From my first fight here, Alan reaches level 16 and Princessa reaches level 9. And when I reach the 3rd floor, it's just a mirror image of the 2nd floor, and it repeats once I reach the 4th floor. On this floor is my first time facing a Medusa. The 204 experience from this fight is the most I've seen yet. After this, floor 5 is a repeat of floor 3. I face the next level of Magus, the Shaman, up here. Floor 6 is the highest floor of the tower. My first fight here gets Princeton to level 15. A soldier up here asks if I have the Windbreaker. He tells me to put it on and jump from the top of the tower to glide across the river. And this is the purpose of the Windbreaker. By walking off the northern edge, it makes me land a couple tiles north of where I should, bypassing the river. When I word it like that, it sounds like some kind of sequence break, but no, this is how you're supposed to do it. I ignore the north tower and get moving, getting my first mud mannequin encounter. Killing this slot gets Alan to level 17 and Princessa to level 10. She learns Kasap. A little northeast of the tower is a new town, Rippleport, a port town. In a house on the west is a soldier from Tantagel, where we started the first game and where Princess Gwaelin was from, so we know that's still around. Though he does say that it's seen better days and the king has deserted his post. Another man says that Tantagel is to the east of this town. But at the moment we've pretty much hit a dead end in terms of on-foot exploration. On the west end is the woman who offers this game's mandated motorboating. I'm only pointing these out in case this show lasts long enough to get to all the subversions later in the series. One woman is encouraging me to check out the item shop, but won't budge out of the way and let me in. When I do finally get in, there is one useful item, the Banishing Bell. This makes debuff and status spells like Snooze and Fizzle less effective, so I buy 3, one for all party members to equip. Of course that leaves me without enough money to buy the new stuff at the weapon shop. There's been this one woman in the northwest who's been hassled by monsters the entire time I've been here, but no one else cares. As I approach her, she runs to us and begs for help. The monsters demand I hand her over, and I say no. This triggers a battle against 2 gremlins, another new enemy, and one that doesn't appear much in the mainline series, usually just spin-offs. Just a Sizz, a Whoosh and a couple sword whacks take them out. The woman is so grateful she takes the party to her grandfather to tell him how they've saved her, and he in turn is so thankful he gives us his ship. He tells me it's best to start by sailing east to Alethgard and visiting Tantagel, but first, a grind. During this I meet the next level of spirit, the Skeleton. It takes 4 minutes of grinding for Princeton to reach level 16, and the next fight gets Princessa to level 11. Her and Alan are no longer in sync with leveling from the same fights. Once I have 1800 gold I buy a Cloak of Evasion from the weapon shop. I give the first one to Princessa since she gets a huge 33 point boost to her defense. My next fight has the next level of Bad Boon, the Big Bad Boon. It takes 4 battles for Alan to reach level 18. 2 minutes later Princessa reaches level 12. 5 minutes after that Princeton reaches level 17. And another 2 minutes for Alan to reach level 19. After this I buy Princeton a Cloak of Evasion too, since it's a 23 point boost for him. I go back to the old man and finally get on that ship. I can take it to a small room where a man talks about losing his own ship and his entire fortune to the sea. I then take the northern exit out of town. Well, now I can freely roam the sea, so I decide to do as the old man says and check out Alethgard. I head south until I can turn east, then take the first north I can find. You can still get encounters on the sea, and my first battle has a Murlosk, a stronger Morlosk. After that fight I go northwest a little and I can see both Tantagel and the Dragon Lord's castle. So I already knew years ago that this game contained the entire first game's landmass as just one part of its world, to show the increasing scope. But what I wasn't expecting was this. While in Alethgard, we'll have Unknown World, the world map thing from the first game playing. I really like that touch. It's time to enter Tantagel, in which over 100 years I've had the town merge into the castle. Everyone's all nice and welcoming. One guy talks some more about that sunken treasure. Next to this old man there's some holy water in a pot. One woman owns a shop selling celestial skein, a godly thread, but says she's run out and that the only place to find some now is in the northern tower of the Dragon's Horns. Can't afford any new weapons? I try the throne room but it's locked behind a gold door and I don't see the king. However, I try the second floor of the weapon shop and there he's hiding, but once again, gold door in the way. With this place explored I zoom back to Rippleport and get back on the boat, this time going north. Here I face my first Hawkman. I keep heading north until I see a sparkle in the water. This is the sunken treasure mentioned in Rippleport, so I head back. Checking the northwesternmost corner of the town has me find a Seed of Strength. Princeton and Princessa are never going to have amazing attack, so I give it to Alan. I give the former sailor his sunken treasure, and as thanks he gives me the Echo Flute. I dump it into the bank because I won't need it for a while and I have limited inventory space. I also drop off the Windbreaker since I never need it again. With the hint I received about the Celestial Skein, I finally enter the Northern Dragon's Horn. This place is even more simple, just moving up and down to the next set of stairs until I reach the 3rd floor where the Celestial Skein is just lying on the ground. That's all, and the higher floors have nothing at all. I zoom back to Tantagel and decide to go slightly south to check out the Dragon Lord's castle. The years have worn the original 1st floor down to just ruins in sand. All there is to do is go north to the stairs down to the 1st basement. On this floor I go west and south to some more stairs to the 2nd basement. There are still enemy encounters in here, but they are a far cry from the level of the enemies the first game had. No dragons here. This floor also has the next level of Medusa, the Gorgon. Another touch I should bring up is that since we're back in Alethgard, even the dungeon theme is now the first game's. Tantagel also had Dragon Quest I's castle theme as well. The 2nd basement just has me go clockwise around the walls to the stairs to the 3rd basement. Can't reach the chest just yet. Another new enemy on this floor, the Mummy Boy. It seems all mummies designed by Akira Toriyama must have cutesy names, after Dragon Ball's Mummy-kun. Princessa reaches level 13 on this floor and learns Squelch herself after Princeton's had it for ages. For the 3rd basement I take the stairs in the northeast corner. Not gonna map the 4th basement here, the journey is just a straight line south, and then another one north. Back onto the 4th basement, I take the stairs in the middle going up, and then the stairs slightly northwest, then a few steps northeast, then a few steps southwest to reach that chest in the 2nd basement I couldn't get earlier. This contains Erdrick's sword. I don't know why the first game's hero left it here. I guess he really wanted to make it a pain for his grandchildren. It's a 10-point increase over Alan's steel broadsword. Backtracking to the 4th basement, I take the stairs slightly northwest. The 5th basement is just 3 straight lines, south, west and north. Alan reaches level 20 on this floor. 6th basement is just a straight line east, taking me to the first game's original final room. And it's in much better shape. Less poison swamp, more clean water. In the Dragonlord's throne is the Dragonlord's great grandson, who's not a fan of Hargon and his showing off. In exchange for promising to kill Hargon, he tells me that I need to collect 5 sigils for some divine help. He says that once I had them all, I have to take them south of where Cantling once stood. Oh yeah, everywhere in Alfgard except for Tentagel, the Dragonlord's castle and the Quagmire cave are just gone. It's unclear if those locations have been destroyed or if we just aren't seeing them because they're irrelevant to this game's story. Though based on this comment just now, we do know at least Cantling is definitively gone. I guess me killing their golem in the first game really screwed them over in the end. In the east of this room is a stretch of damage tiles to a silver door. I check my health after every step and heal when necessary until I reach that room. It has 4 chests containing 173 gold, 1024 gold, full plate armour and a seed of strength that goes straight to Alan. I then cast Evac to leave. I return to Tantagel and after selling off old equipment, I buy Princessa a wizard staff for 4000 gold. It's a 15-point attack increase over the Divine Dagger. It can also be used as an item in battle cast Sizz for free. I make quite a lot of use of this feature. After healing, I cast Zoom and walk back to Meadenhall, the ship following me there too. I sail south and check the map to see where I'm going. See that continent in the upper left corner? That's Dragon Quest I's entire world, just to show the increase in scale. Basically, so far I haven't visited any location in the southern half of the planet. There are 2 markers in the middle of the sea south of me. The first is a shrine that I sail past for now. On this journey I get a stronger heal slime, the Man o' War. This fight gets Princeton to level 18, teaching him the mid-heal spell Princessa started with. Going south, I land on this island with a castle on it and enter. I then leave. I just wanted to add this place, Durkandor, to my Zoom list. I continue south, passing another island until I reach a small island with another shrine on it. There are 3 warp gates here and a sparkle in the northeast corner. Said sparkle is actually my first sigil, the Sun Sigil. It can be seen in the stats menu. That's all though, I'm not using those warps yet. I take the boat just a little bit west to this desert island with a lone tree in the middle. Inspecting the tree allows me to take an Yggdrasil leaf. These revive a dead party member. I can only have 1 from the tree at a time, but I can come back to grab another one after the one I have now is used. I continue west even more along the southern continent until I see a town to my north. I can't enter it yet because I need the gold key, but like Durkandor, entering it at all adds it to my list of Zoom locations, so getting here is more convenient when I can finally get inside. This place was called Burrowell, by the way. I go back to the island with the Yggdrasil tree and go a little south and then east. I see another shrine on a tiny island and next to it a new town. This is a fishing village, Zahan, mostly populated by women as the men are out at sea. At the north end of town is a huge mass of damage tiles with the story reason for them being that trespassing on the temple brings harm. Talking to a dog has it reveal a treasure on the ground, the gold key. This opens up a lot of new treasures and new areas in general. A woman in one house asks if we know of her husband, who went out with his fishing boat 3 years ago and never returned. Now I have the gold key, I zoom back to Burrowell and unlock the door to the stairs leading into this underground city. The first woman I know of says that to the north is the Foul Renderak, where Hargon resides. I check out the armory and I can't afford shit. Look at that, 65,000 gold. I don't think I've had that much money combined all game yet. The shopkeeper in the west has an item marked, huh? Even the price is secret. It turns out to cost 2,000 gold and there's another key, the Jailer's Key. An old man tells me of Don Calico, a master weaver in Sluice, one of the few towns I haven't visited yet. There's an amnesiac named Luke who can only remember waking up on this island and being cared for by the town's priest. There's a prison in the northeast part of town where a guard brags about jailing the thief Rogue Fastfinger. Yet the guy has somehow escaped. So I use my keys to check out his cell. There's a discoloured bit of floor here, so I walk 1 step east to find he was just hiding here the whole time. He gives in with no struggle and gives me the floodgate key to Sluice. That's it for Burrowell, so now it's back to Meadenhall to put my new keys to use. There's a gold door in the southeast corner of the castle leading to 6 chests. A Seed of Life which goes to Princessa, 1,117 gold, a Seed of Strength that goes to Alan, a medicinal herb, the Mark of Erdrick, and a Seed of Magic that also goes to Princessa. Unlike the first game, the Mark of Erdrick isn't required to finish the game. When I go to save, I realise this is the first time I've spoken to the King of Midenhall with Princessa in the party, as we have a little conversation. In the northeastern corner of the castle is the stairs to the jail. A prisoner asks me to free him and I do. In return he pays me with information. He tells me that the King of Alfgard has the Soul Sigil. There's another prisoner, a man dressed as a priest with doors and some damage tiles between me and him. I try speaking to the priest, but it turns out there was also a seed of agility at my feet. It goes to Princessa. The priest decides his thanks for me letting him go is killing the party and delivering their remains to Hargon. He turns out to be the next level of Magus, a Rector. This guy is the toughest fight so far. He deals 42 damage to Alan, almost half his health. I start with Princessa's Dazzle while Alan attacks and Princeton is on healing duty. It ends badly as he casts Kaboom which kills Alan before he can be healed along with Princessa and leaves Princeton pretty close too. I get my second game over of the playthrough so far. I try again. Same starting strategy, it's just this time the entire party survives the second turn. The Rector also has a habit of casting Kabuff to raise his own defense. That's not too bad actually. The more turns he spends buffing himself, the more free turns I have for healing, and thanks to Dazzle, he can't miss his physical attacks. The only threat at this point is Kaboom. It lasts a few turns, but then Kaboom kills Alan and Princeton and leaves Princessa with just 12 HP. She's not surviving another hit, so I just say fuck it and try Whoosh. He wastes a turn with Kasap and my Whoosh misses, so I try again. He uses Kasap again, but this time my Whoosh hits and kills him. I could not believe it was that close. The Rector drops a chest containing a lightning staff. This can be equipped by everyone, but Princessa gets it because it's the most powerful weapon she can equip. When used as an item, it casts Whoosh for free. It turns out the priest in Midenhall is the only one that doesn't do resurrections, and since Princeton is the only one with Zoom and he's dead, I have to make Princessa carry his and Alan's coffins all the way to Leftwine to get them revived. Once everyone's healed up, I zoom to Cannock. While I'm here, I give Princeton Princessa's Orb Wizard Staff since it's 7 points stronger than his Iron Lance, and having 2 party members with a free attacking spell will be useful. There's a single chest behind a gold door guarded by an old man waiting for a scion of Erdrick. It contains Erdrick's shield. Of course, this goes straight on Alan. I let the 2 prisoners go free, but they don't have anything useful to say. I next zoom to Munahan. The gold door here leads to an underground tunnel with 2 jailed gremlins. Or gremlins rather, the powered up version. They're nothing special, and killing them lets me pick up the Water Sigil. That's 2 out of 5. At the end of the tunnel, the old man repeats that finding all sigils will get me the help of a sacred spirit. Next it's back to Tantagel. I can finally unlock the door keeping me from its king. He just hands me the soul sigil and tells me to fuck off. He denies being the king, claiming to be an armourer instead. But when I unlock the door to his throne room, the guard tells me that the king has hidden himself from the world out of fear of Hargon. But that's where I'll be leaving it this episode. Just as Phantasy Star 2 took one more video than Phantasy Star 1, Dragon Quest 2 will take one more video than Dragon Quest 1. So far I'm liking this more than the first game, but as usual, final thoughts come at the end. So next time I'll get those last 2 sigils and take the fight to Hargon. Following up a video covering the last half of the game with a video covering the last half of another, it's back to Dragon Quest II Luminaries of the Legendary Line. When we left off last time, I had 3 of the 5 sacred sigils, the Sun Sigil, Water Sigil and Soul Sigil. I start off at Tantagel Castle and get on my boat. I head east outside of Alfgard and south. My first battle of the video gets Princessa to level 14. I keep going south along the edge of the continent until I see a shrine in the middle of some mountains. Before I can reach it, I get 2 new enemies. There's the debut of the Saber Cat and an Ashtertium, a stronger variant of a tulip. I enter the shrine and take the stairs down. It's another priest waiting for the next scion of Erdrick. He's been taking care of Erdrick's helm for me. I have Alan equip it right away. That's all for this place and I zoom to Zahan. There was a temple filled with damage tiles in the back that I brute forced my way through by healing a lot. I first make my way to the western door in the back to reach a chest containing the Subtle Shuttle. I'll get to its use when it's relevant. After resting at the inn, I make my way to the eastern door. This chest contains another prayer ring. After healing once again, I zoom to Burrowell. I get in my ship and head northwest along the island's edge. I keep going until I see a river going north into the continent. 2 new enemies at once during this trek, Pterodactyl and Headhunter. Not too much of a threat with my current equipment. Headhunters do become a pain when there's more than one though, as Princessa is killed and Princeton is left at 1 HP. Winning this fight gets Alan to level 21 though. I can't be bothered to backtrack to heal, so I use my Yggdrasil leaf to revive Princessa. At the first fork in this river, I go east, thinking I found a new town, but there's mountains blocking the path. So I go west and then north between the sets of mountains. I get a mud mannequin variant here, a magic marionette. This also turns out to be a dead end, so I turn back. but not before getting the third kind of bad boon, the Brainy Bad Boon, named because this version of them can cast magic. Winning this fight gets Princeton to level 19. I zoom back to Burrowell to heal, and after that I make sure to get another Yggdrasil leaf. This time I keep moving along the continent's edge past the river I just tried. It turns out I was just wanting the next river along. This one ends at another fork, but I choose to get off to the west. I get moving north and east through these mountains. I get my second metal slime, but although it doesn't run at first, no one is strong enough to damage it. As I move south a little, I can see the town, but it's still walled in. I have to keep moving east, south a little, and west to finally get around to it. But first I get my fourth version of the shaman, the sorcerer. And right before I enter the town is my first orc chieftain, another semi-regular making its first appearance. After that one, I can finally enter the town. This is Sluice, a town mentioned last time and a place I happen to own a floodgate key for. It's also where the weaver Don Calico lives, also mentioned last time. One guy tells me that a fragment of the moon is hidden at the top of the Tower of the Moon. A woman I talk to then tells me that said tower is to the south of town. And this next one is the second woman in the game with a missing husband, but this one is just drunk instead of lost at sea. I unlock the gold door in the middle of town and go down the stairs to meet Don Calico. In exchange for giving him the celestial skein and subtle shuttle, he offers to weave me a dress, but he still needs time to make it, so I have to wait a bit. Or, to speed it up, I zoom to Meadenhall to save and then quit out of the game. I reload my save and zoom back to Sluice to find that he's still not done. Apparently this is how it's supposed to be done, so I don't know what I did wrong. I decide to check out the weapon shop and buy Princeton a 6,000 gold magic armour for 7 extra defence. I decide then to grind outside of town. This is where I meet my first Bloodhand, another series regular making its debut. These are another enemy that can call more of themselves as reinforcements. 2 battles get Alan to level 22, the very next fight sees Princessa reach level 15, and the one after that gets Princeton to level 20. About 5 more minutes of fighting passes and now Don Calico has finished the dress. He gives me the flowing dress. All 3 can wear this, but it goes to Princessa since it's her best armour. It also grants a 50% resistance to fire attacks and swamp and magma tiles. Outside I get back to grinding a little more. It takes 5 minutes before Alan reaches level 23. I now have the 8,000 gold to buy him a Dragon's Bane, which is a 15-point increase in attack over Erdrick's sword. Back in town I go to the northeastern edge and walk around the outside of the item shop and in. It takes an eternity thanks to this dog deciding to walk in front of me and keep blocking my path. But eventually I see a locked door in the northwest and go down the stairs behind it. It leads to the hole for the floodgate key. Opening the floodgate makes the river path on the other side of the mountains flood, so now I can take my ship down it. But first I have the long walk back to my ship. But not just yet, as I zoom to Durkendor, the town I only visited last time, to add to my zoom list. I go all the way through the corridors to the north, west and south and through the gold door to the other side of the weapon shop where I can rob his chests of a divine dagger and a tectonic plate. I give it to Alan for a huge 22 defense increase over his full plate armour. I enter the centre of the castle to see the king with 2 bunny girls at his side, but I ignore them in favour of selling the weapon shop owner the divine dagger I stole from him as he watched. I talk to the king, who offers me a reward for entertaining him in the arena. Of course I accept and I have to battle another new enemy, a striking sabercat. It's dead in a turn and Princeton reaches level 21. He learns Safe Passage, which temporarily lets me walk over damage tiles. He's so impressed that he just gives me the moon sigil, just 1 more to go now. He'll also let me save now like a proper king. I zoom back to Tantagel and head south on the boat, past the rest of the continent and continuing south until I reach an island with just a tower on it. This is actually a lighthouse. The guard outside tells me that the sigils aren't actually physical objects, but signifiers of the soul, which is why they thankfully don't take up any of my inventory space. I go through the door and the first floor is the biggest. I start by going all the way east and all the way north, then all the way west and all the way south. Then it's east a little, north a little, east a bit more, north a bit more, all the way east and then north until I can enter this area with 4 sets of stairs. First I go north to a chest that isn't shown on this map. After that it's south to take the southeastern set of stairs. My first fight here gets Princessa to level 16 and teaches her the very useful full heal spell. The chest contains 469 gold. Sounds like this went quick, but the floor took 6.5 minutes thanks to the encounter rate. The section of the second floor it takes me to is just going south a little to some stairs to the 3rd floor. So it's the 3rd floor, except I'm just travelling east to the 4th, and then northeast to the 5th. But first I get my first Dead Knot encounter. I wasn't expecting anything new, as all other encounters until now were old enemies I'd long outclassed. These stairs to the 5th floor take me to a single chest containing a long irrelevant chain sickle. Time to backtrack to the 1st floor. My first fight on the way back gets Princeton to level 22. Then the very next fight after that one gets Alan to level 24. Back to the 1st floor, I just go west from those stairs to take the set in the southwest corner. For this first part of the floor I have to go west, south and then east to the stairs back to the third. I go west and north past the stairs, then east and north all the way, through the door to reach the next set of stairs. While on this floor Princessa reaches level 17. Back on the 4th floor I just go north a little to the 5th, and then south a little to the 6th, and then north a little more to the 7th, and then south a little more to the 8th floor. This is the top floor where there's a huge torch in the middle and a soldier in the south. But first I get my first dragonfly, a stronger variant of the dragonfry. The soldier says that from here he's been keeping watch over the Hall of Hargon in Renderak for years. He says that the area is a large plateau that looms over everywhere else and that no one has ever managed to get inside. Well, that's all this route teaches me. Time to take those stairs I skipped back on the 3rd floor. I go south and east to a chest and then west to some stairs. The chest contains 715 gold. Back on the 5th floor I go east a little, south a little and all the way east back to the 6th floor. And on the 6th floor I just go north a little to end up back on the 5th. From there I just go west a little to a chest containing a seed of life that I give to Princessa. I then backtrack to the 4th floor. I go north, east and north all the way to a fork. I take the fork west to some stairs back up to the 5th floor. Then it's all the way east and back up to the 6th floor. Then it's south and west out of a little room and then northwest to the stairs to floor 7. As I head east from the stairs I see a gremlin move south into another room. In said room is an old man who tells me he'll lead me to the sacred sigil. He moves west and down the stairs in the southwest corner of the floor. As I follow him, Alan reaches level 25. Back on the 6th floor, the old man continues to the east, going down the stairs on that end. Another level up as I approach those stairs, Princeton to level 23. He learns Sizzle. Back on the 5th floor, the man moves north down even more stairs. And on the 4th floor, he goes south and west down some more. Onto the 3rd floor, he moves east and north along the edge of the building and down yet more stairs. Back on the 2nd floor, I finally reach a chest, but it's empty. Of course, the old man was that gremlin all along, obviously. I have to face 4 gremlins, but by this point they aren't a threat anymore. Princessa reaches level 18 and learns evac herself. The gremlins were carrying the final sigil though, the star sigil. That's all 5 of them. After that, I evac out to heal. After saving, I get back to grinding outside of Sluice. After about 11 minutes of it, Alan reaches level 26. 2 minutes after that, Princeton reaches level 24. 2 more minutes later and I have 16,000 gold to return to Burrowell and buy an Aurora Blade for Alan, which is a 15-point increase over the Dragon's Bane. Then it's back to the grind. It takes 2 more battles for Princessa to reach level 19. 8 minutes later, there's no level up, so I just decide to go south across this new canal to the Tower of the Moon. But not to explore just yet, for the stronger enemies with more XP. I get stronger Mummy Boy variant, the Mummy, and new enemy Hydra in my first fight. Then my next fight has a stronger Corpse Corporal, the Ghoul. It takes 3 fights in here for Alan to reach level 27. Then the next fight gets Princeton to level 25, teaching him Kabuff. A few minutes later on my way back from an in-stay, Princessa reaches level 20. 10 minutes after that, Alan reaches level 28. 2 minutes later, Princeton reaches level 26. It then takes another 5 minutes grinding to reach the 21,500 gold for a power shield to Princeton, a 14-point defense upgrade over his leather shield and the strongest shield he can use. Now it's time to take on the Tower of the Moon properly. I go south and then west into the corner room for a chest before I then take the stairs in that same room. The chest contains a seed of strength that goes straight to Alan. Then in my first fight here, Princessa reaches level 21 and learns Kaboom, an incredibly powerful spell that uses up a lot of MP. I first go south and east into the centre of the room and north for a chest. Then just slightly west of the centre is some stairs to a small part of floor 3 for a second chest. Then it's down to the southeast corner and down the stairs to a small part of floor 2 for a third, before I finally take the stairs in the centre room to floor 3 proper. The first chest contains a seed of magic that goes to Princessa. The second one on floor 3 gets me 1,226 gold. The third chest back on the first floor gets me a seed of resilience that also goes to Princessa. My next fight after that gets me a powered up Rector, a Wacholite. On to floor 3, and despite the size of what is available to me, the only way to go is north to floor 4. From the start I go south to 2 chests, then back north and east to the 5th floor. The chests are 270 gold and another seed of resilience that goes to Princessa. On floor 5 I go up the stairs in the middle. On floor 6 it's just west around to more stairs, and on the 7th floor is a chest. But first some gargoyles, stronger hawkmen, get in my way. The chest is yet another prayer ring. Back to the 5th floor, I go through the locked doors and down the stairs to the 4th floor, then northwest a little back to the 3rd, then north a bit more to the 2nd floor, and finally north a tiny bit to the 1st floor for a rambling old man and this place's final chest, the Moon Shard. And that's all for this place. After healing I set off southwest from Durkandor in my ship and find a cave on a small island surrounded by rocks blocking my entry. By using the Moon Shard I control the tides to hide those rocks and let me reach the next dungeon, the Sea Cave. There are a lot of magma tiles I have to walk over in here, so I'll be casting Safe Passage a lot. I start by going west along the magma and north to go east to the first chest. Then back at the start I go south and west most of the way until I can go north to a second chest. Then it's all the way south to the stairs down to level 2. My first fight here gets Alan to level 29. The first chest gives me 1218 gold. On my way to the next one, the first part stop of the smog shows up, the Miasma. A couple fights later, Princeton reaches level 27 and learns Thwack, a spell that targets an entire group of enemies and instantly kills them if it connects. The second chest gets me a Seed of Magic that goes to Princessa. That's all before I go down to the second level. I go south to reach the first chest, then I go west some more, south through a gap, west a bit more, then all the way south. I go east and north through the first gap to the second chest. After that I go all the way to the northwest corner for some stairs down to the third level. The first chest turns out to be a trap that poisons Alan, what a dick. And right after I get the series debut of the Liquid Metal Slime. I manage to hit this one once before it runs away. Then my next fight is another new type making its first appearance, the Trevel. Just before I reach the second chest, Princessa reaches level 22, and the second chest is another prayer ring. Nearby there's a guard who tells me I need to have visited the Shrine of the Great Conflagration, which is inside this cave, before I'm able to reach Hargon. Down to the third level. I unlock the door and go all the way west, grabbing 2 chests on the way. I then go all the way south, around to the east and all the way north to the third chest. Finish a bit south to one of the staircases going down. The first chest was another trap that poisons Alan. The second chest is a Seed of Strength that goes to Alan as usual. The third chest is a suit of magic armour. Despite it being a 5-point defense loss, I give it to Alan for its resistance against spells, then it's down to level 4. I simply go northwest to some stairs to level 5. I forgot that chest, but I'll get it later. My first fight on this floor gets Alan to level 30, once the level cap of the first game, now it's only 60% of the way to the cap. My next fight is against the stronger Deadnought, the Chasmanaut, and that's all for now. On level 5 I just follow the path south, east and north to this shrine. Another new enemy type makes its debut, the Hunter Mech, though the Killing Machine is the more well-known version. The fight after this gets Princeton to level 28. The shrine is the one mentioned earlier, but there's 2 Acolytes in the way. They're no stronger than the dozens I've already killed on my way here. Once they're dead, I reach the shrine to find the false idol. After that, I leave. After healing, I once again get grinding outside of Sluice. It takes 3 fights for Princessa to reach level 23, and 10 minutes later, Alan reaches level 31. For some reason, I then waste 21 grand without thinking buying Princessa a power shield that she can't equip, not even noticing when the game says I can't equip it. North of Durkendor, I check out that one shrine that takes up an entire tiny island. It's a few small rooms with stairs taking me deeper and deeper under the sea. Once I reach the bottom, I stand in the middle of the room and all 5 sigils start to glow. The party hear the voice of Rubis, the goddess of the land. She senses the bloodline of Erdrick in the party and says she must fulfill a promise she made to him ages ago. She gives me the Eye of Rubis, which will help me see past illusions. With this, I next return to Gwaelin's Gate and unlock that gold door at the south end. I take the teleportal inside to be warped to a shrine. This places me inside the northern half of the southwestern continent, a place completely cut off by mountains. Teleportals are the only way in here. I get moving south, facing a regular orc and a new Cobra Kaiser. I eventually turn east and cross a bridge before going southwest across another. I find a lake with a new town in the middle. This is Beron, the final new town we can visit in the game. I was clearly intended to visit here much earlier, as I get hints from NPCs about finding Durkendor and the Yggdrasil leaf. I stop in the inn and as the screen fades back in, Princeton is still in the bed. He can't move and believes he has been hit with the Curse of Hargon. I don't actually know whether or not I could actually leave him and finish the game without him, but I use my Yggdrasil leaf to cure him. This event only happens once, and despite him only being out of my party for about 20 seconds, he still gets the new party member jingle. I get myself a new Yggdrasil leaf before I do anything else. There's a temple in the northwest of town with some damage tiles between it and a teleportal. It leads to a room with some stairs to an old man saying that to the west is a path to Renderak, but south of the teleportal is a hidden exit that reveals this building is alone surrounded by poison swamp, with just a gremlin that's afraid of me. I follow the old man's advice, cast Safe Passage and get walking west. This puts me in the mountainous area north of Burrowell. There's a flame here that recognises that I'm ready to take on Hargon. It tells me to get through the marshes and hold up the idol. I have to stand in the top middle of this poison swamp and use the false idol to make the entrance to the cave to Renderak rise from the ground. My first fight here is against the stronger Hydra, the Eyelasher. Princeton reaches level 29 when I kill these and learns the Kazing spell, which revives a dead party member. All I do is go north a tiny bit and southeast down these stairs right next to the entrance. In this basement I go west for a chest and take the stairs in the middle of the room back to the first floor. First fight here is against another zombie, the Walking Corpse. The chest is Seed of Strength for Alan. Back on the first floor, I go a little bit west and south to the second floor. At first I can only see this one room. In this maze, I go east to loop back to the other side and keep going west until I can take the third north to more stairs going up. This is a big floor, but for now I just go southeast to some stairs, taking a quick detour north on the way for a chest. My first fight is against a stronger orc, the Orc King. On the way to the chest, Princessa reaches level 24. The chest is just a tombola ticket. Next floor is just a few steps east to some more stairs, which then take me to a chest containing Erdrick's armour. It gives Alan 33 more defence and immunity to damage tiles. Just him though, the other two will still take damage. Back to the third floor. I backtrack all the way to the middle of the floor and then go all the way west and up some stairs. I get a new Headhunter variant, the Berserker, but that's all. Those stairs once again lead to a tiny room with more stairs to a chest containing a Madcap. This is very useful, it has the MP cost of spells, so it goes to Princessa. Back to the third floor and back to the middle. I go north all the way with a quick detour south for this room's other chest. At the fork I then go southwest to more stairs. The chest contains 1282 coins and the rest of that journey has nothing else happen. Another small room to more stairs. This next room has me go all the way south and all the way west for 2 chests. My first fight gets 2 new enemies, the return of the Green Dragon and a stronger version of the Pterodactyl, the Pteranodactyl. This is the first battle in the game to get me more than 1000 XP. The chests contain 564 coins and Thanatos' shield. My next fight gets Alan to level 32. To the third floor once again. I go all the way to the stairs in the northeast corner. Once again it leads to another small room with more stairs to another. It then leads to a large room with nothing else but 2 more sets of stairs. But a few steps north has me fall through a hole in the floor into a big featureless square room. I just start heading southwest, facing my first Hargonaut on the way and getting Princeton to level 30. I walk into another hole in the southwest corner to get dropped in front of the Thunderbolt Blade. It's Alan's strongest weapon, the strongest weapon in the game overall, and can cast Whoosh when used as an item. Equipping it is a 25 point attack increase over the Aurora Blade. Said Aurora Blade goes to Princeton for a 30 point increase over Erdrick's sword, which I somehow missed giving him. This room is a dead end though, so I have to evac out and start again, but not before healing up of course. On the way back through, Princessa reaches level 25. I actually did manage to defeat a liquid metal slime here for over 10,000 XP. Alan reaches level 33, Princeton reaches level 31, and Princessa reaches level 26 just from this battle. If that wasn't good enough, it also dropped a Madcap so Princeton can also have his MP costs halved. Back to the 4th floor, I take this odd path to the southeast corner stairs so I can avoid the holes in the ground. It leads to this massive room I can only see a little of at a time. So for this room, this is the path I take to the stairs. I'm not reading out all the directions since it'd just sound like gibberish after a point, just look at it. I get my first killing machine on this floor. Alan reaches level 34 here as well, along with Princessa to level 27 the same fight, with her learning Kazing. And close to the end, Princeton reaches level 32. The stairs at the end take me outside. I'm finally on the Renderak Plateau. I'm not safe just yet, there's still some strong enemies to deal with as I go northeast. Like the Cyclops, another regular making its first appearance. Although these are more like the Ochu in Final Fantasy where they were in one early game, disappeared for years, and then suddenly were in every single game after a certain point. At this point I'm just having Princessa throwing kabooms around. Next is a terrifying enemy, the Frostburn. These have access to Thwack, and if they cast it, that can just kill your entire party and you can't do anything about it. I continue northeast across 2 bridges and find this shrine. This is a very good shrine. The priest not only saves the game for me, but also fully heals the entire party for free. It can also be zoomed to, meaning as long as I have the MP for it, I can have a free full heal whenever I want. This is also the final zoom location and my list is complete. I decided to get grinding outside the shrine since I had that free heal. After only just meeting my first Cyclops, I already get a stronger variant, the Gigantes. The next fight is against my first Archdemon, the first enemy so far to break 200 HP. These are also a threat as they also have access to Kaboom. My next new enemy here is the Batman Drill. These don't seem a huge threat until one casts Kamikaze and wipes out my entire party. Good thing dying just sends me 10 steps away. My next battle after that loss gets Alan to level 35 and the fight after gets Princessa to level 28. North of the shrine I get heading west along the northern mountains. As the mountains turn south I continue to follow them. During this Princeton reaches level 33. Eventually the path turns east, at which point I can go north to reach the Hall of Hargon. But first Alan reaches level 36 and Princessa reaches level 29. I'm not doing the entire thing now, I'm just after the 2 treasures in here before I begin my final grind. As I enter, it's suddenly a copy of Midenhall Castle. The people inside are trying to talk me out of killing the allegedly benevolent Hargon. In the throne room, the king has supposedly given the kingdom to Hargon and is now spending his days being pampered by bunny girls, including replacing the Chancellor with one. The king's claims of being mistaken about Hargon aren't believable in the slightest, and I use the Eye of Rubis to dispel the illusion and reveal the castle's true state, where lost souls are being made to act out the roles of Midenhall's residents. Talking to the souls representing the two bunny girls with the king will reveal them to be Batmandrills, which I easily kill. Behind the throne, I go through the locked door and north and west over these damage tiles to the first chest. Then I backtrack and go east and north to reach the second chest. The first chest is a cursed item, a devil's tail, so I don't equip it. The second is a whaler's mail, which I also don't equip for the same reason. That's all for now, and I zoom back to the shrine to begin my final grind before I take on Hargon. I won't point out all the level ups from now on, only any important ones. 5 minutes into my grind, Princessa hits level 30, which teaches her the Hocus Pocus spell, which casts a random spell when used. 3 minutes later, Princeton reaching level 35 teaches him Kamikaze, which I will never make him use. Enemies here can also drop more cursed items, which sell for quite a bit of money. The next thing of note is 40 minutes later when Princessa reaches level 36 and learns Click, which will unlock any door without the need for any of the keys. Both of my magic users now know all of their available spells. 48 more minutes later, I hit the money cap of 99,999 gold. And the next milestone is 2 hours and 50 minutes later when Alan and Princeton become the first of the three to reach level 50 in the same fight, the highest possible in this game. And then the very next fight gets Princessa to level 52. So that was around 4.5 hours total. The stat gains in the final few levels are also much better than what you get during the rest of the game. Just a couple loose ends. I never checked out the Quagmire Cave east of Tantagel. No point in the end, it's just a straight line south. The entire section where the dragon had Princess Gwaelin captive is gone now. In the Inner Sanctum in Moonbrook Castle, there was a seed of magic on the floor I missed. It goes to Princessa. I also got that chest I missed in the Sea Cave, which contained a banishing bell. Now to take on the rest of the Hall of Hargon. In the middle of the damaged tiles in the north of the first room is a spot for me to stand and hold out the false idol once again to transport me to the next room. Here I just go north and west into this room where the stairs to the third floor are. For this floor I go north and west, then south all the way, west all the way, and north all the way for the stairs to the fourth floor. Imagine getting 2 liquid metal slimes at once when you can't level up any further. For the fourth floor I go east all the way, south all the way, west all the way, north and then east again to more stairs. I get my first new enemy on this floor, another stronger Cyclops, the Atlas. For floor 5 I go west until I can go north into a room with the next stairs. This floor gets me a fight with a stronger Batmandrill, a Pazuzu. Floor 6 is just a straight line to the east, don't need to map it. In front of the stairs I face a Belial, a stronger Archmage. Like the others, it isn't any threat at these levels. He only lasts longer because he likes to full heal himself. The Atlas, Pazuzu and Belial were all one-time fixed encounters, and with them dead I zoom back to the shrine so that I can save their deaths. It takes no time at all to get back and take those stairs. They lead to the top floor of the castle. I just have to go west across a few more damaged tiles and then it's north to find Hargon sitting on his throne. He's furious that we would dare interrupt his prayer and starts a fight. If there's one thing about Hargon I'm not a fan of, it's how close he looks to the first game's Dragon Lord. Hargon has 460 HP and for this battle I have both Alan and Princeton attack while Princessa defends. He starts off with Kaboom, meaning I can now put Princessa straight to healing duty. When he does a normal physical attack, he attacks twice in one turn. But he isn't too threatening, as by doing over a combined 120 damage a turn, he doesn't last very long. With his last words, he tells the party that they haven't saved the world just yet. He completes his prayer to Malroth, the Lord of Destruction, by offering his own body. I get a chance to heal and as I move south, the party is trapped in a ring of fire and the floor collapses around that fire to make sure we stay put. Then the final battle against Malroth begins. As is fitting for the final boss, Malroth has by far the most HP in the game with 1750. I start by having Princessa Kasap him and Princeton Kabuff the party while Alan attacks. After that I have Princeton attack and save his MP for healing while Princessa casts Kaboom whenever possible. No need to conserve MP when it's the final battle, just throw everything out. Malroth has his Blistering Flames attack that hits the entire party, even doing over 100 damage to Princeton. His normal physical attack isn't much of a problem, so it's always good when he spends his turn on that. Although he does manage to kill Alan by double hitting him. Good thing both of the others can cast Kazing to revive him. Princessa's full heal is also a massive help. It means I can have Princeton heal the one who has more HP with mid heal while Princessa tends to the one closest to death. It does take a while thanks to only having one attacker most turns, but Alan is a good attacker and manages to finish Malroth off in the end. With Malroth gone, the party hear a voice telling them that peace will be restored to the world. It will then pray to the goddess for his descendants to continue to have a good life, meaning this is either the voice of Erdrick or the first game's hero. We leave the Hall of Hargon, which collapses into rubble. We can now freely explore the world without any more random encounters and see how all the towns are faring in this new peacetime. We can't save after Malroth's death though. The priest at the Shrine of Renderak will now be able to move on and do literally anything else now that he has fulfilled his duty. For some highlights, we can return to Moonbrook and have Princessa tell her father that he is avenged. His spirit can finally pass on as she swears to rebuild the castle. In Zahan, Luke the amnesiac in Borrowell has finally regained his memory and returned to his wife. And the old man who waited for us at Gwaelin's Gate can now finally retire and spend his time with his brother from the shrine south of Meadenhall. To finish this game we have to return to Meadenhall, where the lower floors are mostly deserted. Everyone is waiting for us upstairs in the throne room. The king says that Alan has done Erdrick proud and that he himself is proud to have such a son. So proud that he is stepping down and letting Alan take the throne. After accepting, he calls forth the other two and tells them that their companionship should serve to maintain the peace in the world. And then the series overture plays as Meadenhall throws his little fireworks show. We get told that the party's names will live on forever as their story will continue to be told through the generations. And while this is not the final Dragon Quest game to take place in this world, it is the furthest along in this world's timeline that we'll see, so we can assume things stayed pretty good after this. I like Dragon Quest II more than the first game. It increased the scope, had slightly more story going on, lasted longer without getting boring, and had more diverse locations. Although I will say I absolutely understand how someone could prefer the first game. There was a charm to this one guy against this small world to explore, but I had more fun having more to do with a party of more than one. If I do have one small criticism, it's that I feel the multiple party members weren't handled quite as well as they could be. It was pretty much just splitting the first game's hero into 3 functions instead of coming up with new things for our 2 new party members. But I still had a good time and I'm looking forward to seeing how the next game turns out, since it always seemed like the big ones were Dragon Quest 3, 5 and 8, and 3 is the only one of those I've never touched. And maybe by the next time I look at this series, the most recent versions of the games from 4 to 9 could be ported to modern consoles I can actually record instead of being locked to handhelds that I can't. Please?